The DualShock 4. The previous controller for Sony's ever popular PlayStation 4 was great. It wasn't the best, but it was still decent. Now that the PS5 has been out for a couple of years and only now starting to be seen out in the wild again, darn you scalpers, many gamers who played on the PlayStation 4 will be pleasantly surprised with what Sony has done here with their all-new DualSense controller for the PlayStation 5. Aside from the screen, the gaming controller is the thing that draws you into your game on a more personal level. With insane haptics, upgraded triggers, and some new tech, the new DualSense is not only the best controller Sony has ever put its name to, but it also feels extremely refreshing and innovative. At launch, the DualSense was only available in white, but since it's been released in a batch of really new and exciting colors. Stay tuned as we go over a quick unboxing of the standalone DualSense controller so that we can dissect it and give it a proper review for those window shopping for a PS5 or extra controller this upcoming holiday season. And so without further ado, let's get the show on the road. Alright gamers, here it is. The standalone box for the OG white DualSense 5. I quite like how the PS5's main color scheme is white, because ever since the PS2, it seems that the classic colors for the bundled MPS controllers have all been black, so it's nice that Sony is spicing things up here. The DualSense controller did receive a price hike as compared to prior iterations, as it now retails for $69.99 in the US, but as you'd expect, every PS5 console comes with a DualSense in the box. However, if you want to partake in some local co-op shenanigans, or you could just be needing a replacement, you can always grab an extra DualSense. So now, looking at the box, there's an image of the front of the controller showing off most of the buttons, as well as PlayStation and Sony logos. On the back, we see some text reading, "Heighten your senses," and then goes on to describe some of the new features, including the brand new haptics, adaptive triggers, and built-in microphone, which we'll brush up on in just a little bit. There's not much going on the sides, so let's grab our trustworthy unboxing knife to remove the adhesive sealing the package together, remove the classic box within a box trick, and we see we have our instruction manual, which I'm 99% sure nobody reads unless somehow you're stuck on the toilet with this nearby and you're phoneless. So now, going back to what we really came here for, the PS5 is shrouded in this frosted plastic, so remove that and voila. A very simple unboxing that gets right to the point. Okay, so I do have a DualShock 4, so let me put these two side by side so it's easier to highlight the differences, and as you can see, aside from the coloring, mostly everything appears to be the same. At least on the surface, that is. The format of the buttons and the analogs haven't really changed over the years ever since the first PlayStation, and that's a good thing. Familiarity is important. All your buttons are where you'd expect them. The touchpad in the middle, analog sticks and triggers still remain intact, but as you can see, the new DualSense controller is considerably bigger while also looking more futuristic. Things that are new here include a brand new PlayStation symbol embossed home button, and around that is the aforementioned built-in mic, along with a handy mute button for when you don't want the homies to hear your girlfriend tripping on you. Also, the share and start button have now been swapped, but look a little closer and the entire controller chassis has been elongated. The grips on the DualSenses are now longer, which I think is a welcome addition as it makes the controller a lot more comfortable to hold in the hands. Not to mention, there is some texture on the backside of the controller for those extra intensive sweaty gaming sessions to add some nice added grip. And if you look very closely, the texture is actually micro symbols based off of your input buttons such as the X, triangle, the circle, and square. Classic symbols of PlayStation. I love it. This makes the controller feel pleasingly tactile as it rests against your fingers. And speaking of the PS face buttons, every button feels very snappy and gives off great feedback when being pressed. Nothing about this controller feels cheap, but rather feels extremely premium, and as they should, especially when each standalone controller comes in at a hefty $70. Gamers want and love a controller that feels sturdy and durable most of all. This feels even more important considering the biggest complaint that gamers had when the DualShock 4 initially came out. I'm talking about the analog sticks. I'm particularly referring to the grip on the analog sticks that would wear off. I remember when the PS4 first came out, some gamers' controllers' grips started to fall apart, not even 3 months after snapping their shiny new console. The felt nubs would wear away, revealing the not so grippy plastic underneath, and it all felt like a sham. A quality controller shouldn't be doing that. Well, thankfully, Sony has fixed this, and now the analog stick's grip is immaculate. It has a nice texture going around the circumference of the concave design for the sticks, almost like a tire, and comes in clutch when you need extreme precision while gaming. As was advertised on the box, the star of the show with the DualSense is the all-new haptics and adaptive triggers. The haptic feedback reverberates throughout the entire controller, making you really seem like you're in on the action. During games like NBA 2K, your player's heartbeat will pick up and become more pronounced. And this tense moment, when you're only 1 point away from victory, translates quite well with the haptics on the controller. It's very similar and reminiscent of some of the haptics found on some other technology. The first that comes to mind is the MacBook Pros. Ever felt like you're physically pressing on the trackpad? Well, psych, that's not a physical button, it's the awesome haptic motor found underneath that mimics the feel of a real press, but nothing is actually mechanically moving. It's just the haptics. So that's kind of what's found inside here. The motors on these haptics is awesome, and it's really nice to have, especially when gaming and enjoying time with friends and family. The adaptive triggers, as one can imagine, are crucial on first-person shooters, for example. Depending on what gun you choose, there may be some extra tension on the trigger to mimic real-world usage. It's not to say that the triggers become extremely hard to press, it's just a nice haptic feedback you get that draws you in closer to your game. Kind of like what I said about my NBA 2K example, it really makes it feel like it's you taking that free throw. At this point, technology is advancing so much, maybe the PlayStation 10 controller might even make you feel the bullets as you get shot at, god dang. Jokes aside, the haptics are one of the best parts of the whole PS5 experience. Sure, the added graphics are awesome, the SSD even speedier, but it's the controller at the heart of the entire experience. But the DualSense isn't perfect. It's made remarkable strides over the years to make the gaming experience seem more natural. But there's a couple nitpicks I have with this controller. Number one, the mic quality for the built-in mic isn't the best. It was clever by Sony to implement this, but by no means is the built-in mic a headset replacement. I think this is a given for most people. It's good enough to get you by, but I would invest in a higher quality mic if you're planning on taking your gaming sessions more seriously. As with the DualShock 4, additional microphones can be plugged in directly into the DualSense with the port found underneath the PS Home button. And secondly, I was disappointed with the battery life on the DualSense. Don't get me wrong, it isn't abysmal, but usually will last me anywhere from 7 to 9 hours, at least from my experience and usage. Battery life will vary, and my gaming sessions usually last anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, so I can normally squeeze out about 3 to 4 sessions before having to recharge. Which, by the way, we now charge via a USB-C port, which makes it more universal versus the prior micro USB that the DualShock 4 used. Battery life is always controversial as gamers will game in varying session lengths. Just do know that it's good, but not the best battery life, especially when comparing to something like Nintendo's awesome Switch Pro controller, which gives you up to a staggering 30 hours of gameplay before needing to recharge. In the end, it's really hard to overstate the importance of Sony's new immersive tech. And best yet, the controller looks intriguing, and I think it looks quite sexy. I like the sleek black on white motif, and the glowing lights make it look very futuristic during gameplay. The elongation of the grips is a big and welcome addition, making this Sony's most comfortable gaming controller yet, and the immersive haptic feedback and adaptive triggers combines added versatility and a bunch of fun to make you really get the most out of your gaming sessions. For me, the new DualSense is a big overhaul with plenty of welcome additions, and I'm sure many gamers will agree with me in saying that the controller is near perfect with just some minor issues that I hope will be fixed along the way, mainly extending the battery life. But let me know what you think. Drop your comments down below and make sure to subscribe, as later this year, I will be unboxing and reviewing the PlayStation 5 before a Slim or Pro version is announced. Don't know when that will come, but we're about 2 years into the PS5's lifespan, so it'll inevitably arrive. That's been it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I cannot wait to catch you all in my next video.